and I'm having like 7 years of industry experience, working as a community speaker in various events, maybe it's universities, colleges, and many more. As I said, also supposed to lead Pune chapter, so I'm also organizing various events, maybe in person or virtual meetups. I'm also working as a corporate trainer with some of the firms, and also RPA mentor. If you have wanted to start your journey into RPA, or you want to host any RPA event, maybe a community event, or want to host in person, if not possible in person, or want to contribute in any other ways, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Okay, you can just Google Gajanan Patil UiPath, and you can redirect to my LinkedIn page. Okay, so that was all about me. I'll just pass on this and introduce today's speaker. Saili Rodge is a speaker from Accelerate, and we have Jenny as well from Mastech. So these both are going to talk more about today's event, about how to get started with UiPath apps. What are UiPath apps? What is integration services? And we'll demonstrate some demos with both of them. Right. So it's not just about talking about what are the features they have. It's more about a deep dive into how you can create your UiPath apps, how it looks, or how a new person can get started. So the intermediate to the beginner level is the audience target is for today. We expect you all to be vibrant and ask as many questions you have, and we will have frequent pauses in mid of the session. So please feel free to ask your questions as much you have. I'll just pass on the deck to Jenny and Sally. Now you guys can take the lead and get started. We are excited with the session.
Thank you, Gajanan. Okay, good morning all. Thank you for joining the session since it's Monday morning. I appreciate your efforts. And let's hope more audience will join us. I quickly share my screen, and then we'll go ahead with the agenda and the main program. Let me know once my screen is visible.
It's visible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so as Gajanan already introduced us, I'm Saili from Accelerate, and I'll be walking you through from UiPath apps plus data service along with the demo. And Jenny, my colleague, she will be walking you through the integration services. So the agenda would be something very short. We will more on concentrating on functionalities rather than the theoretical part. So let's go through it quickly. We will be going through the introduction for UiPath apps. Then there would be a quickly introduction on the data services, how we can use it on our daily life, how it is helpful than the other database which is already available in the market, how we can integrate both of them and leverage in the same platform, as we have orchestrator and both these entities are hosted there only, how we can leverage that. Then we'll have a demo covering as much as functionality with the latest features and which is already there. So how data flows between then, how we you can leverage the bulk uploading and everything, that the demo is all together there. Then we'll go with the UiPath integration services. So again, this is something new for a lot of people. So you'll get a many insight about the integration services, and we will be having a integration services demo also, how we can trigger, how we can create events, all those steps. So I'll move ahead. So let's begin with the UiPath apps. So what exactly UiPath apps is and why it is introduced by the UiPath. So as we know, apps is basically any application. Now we know we have the Android, we all use the daily applications. any application. You can take a banking application or anything. Now assume you have a multiple processes which are running, but somehow there is a use case where you want to club together on it a single platform. The user needs to leverage a 5-6 process which are differently developed, and they just need to provide some input from a one particular interface. That particular interface can be built by the UiPath apps. So this is it is again a very low code no code platform, as we know. So we can quickly build this because there are a lot of huge variety of icons, data views. They have given us a very sorted platform to build it, just like a studio. Drag and drop is there, which container you want, which icon you want, buttons types. There are many more layouts are available. Templates are already pre-built templates are also available by the UiPath. So it is basically a quickly building custom business applications, you can say. So this is the main and best feature of the UiPath apps. Second is, as I said, it is providing a rich controls. So when I say rich controls, they are giving you let's say maps. They are providing you facility to add charts in your application. There is a facility to show the data in a various format. As I said, charts, data views, data tables, list, a lot of things on a page, on a pop-up. So multiple functionalities are clubbing together with the various controls are already in the place. So you just need to drag and drop, bind your data, and it will work. So this is the second great feature of the UiPath app. And the third is where the mostly which is going to be useful, who can actually use this app. So as a developer, I can obviously run the app and I can leverage it, right? But let's assume we just want to test it, and there is this very simple step. You just need to add the user in your orchestrator and give the access to him, and he can run the same application on his machine. So that it is that simple. So now they are also, UiPath is also in the preview stage where you can make your application public. So not only from your organization, but people from another organization can also leverage it. So there is that facility also. So this is the we can say a very great feature in terms of accessibility. Again, this is not only whenever we talk about application, you can run it from your VDI, Mac, Android, web services. So this is again the next advantage of the UiPath apps. I hope UiPath apps concept is clear to all, and I'll move to the next slide. Okay, so what exactly UiPath apps is offering to us when we go into a developer perspective, in a technical perspective, what exactly it is offering us when you try to build an app. So all these functionalities I'm already covering into the demo also. So in a brief, I'll tell you, but I'll just give you a hint of what exactly it is. So exporting and importing app. So as we know, we already seen that in the studio we can export our project, we can make a library out of it. So in the application also, you can export your app and it will get into the APK file. So anyone from the other who wants to use it, or the same application, if you want to use in some another application, that is also possible from the importing app. So every time you are building a new app, there is an option to import a file. So any application which you want to make it as a generic application, you can always export it and import it in another applications. Mobile friendly. So what exactly mobile friendly means? So this is something HTML5 compliant. So these URLs where we are running this can be compatible with the mobile devices also. So there are very small changes we need to do in the code, like allow wrapping to make it synchronous, and of course there would be a few things which we need to grant a permission, and it is ready to use in your mobile, in your Android also. The next is various ways of data representation. So it is actually a lot. I have just listed a few. So there is like charts. So let's assume that you have make some charts in your Excel and you want to represent in your application on a one click. That is possible. Let's assume your process is returning a bulk data and you want to show it on your application on a new page. So you can simply go and use the data viewer control, or you can use the data table control. It is as simple as that. The output argument of your process, you need to bind it with the data table, and all the columns which are there, it will generate automatically. You need to select the data, which columns you want to showcase, which columns you want to hidden. All those facilities are there. Again, there are many other things which are also there. Let's assume data table. So how you want to represent your data table, that is also there. What colors, what background colors, font family, all those functionalities are there. Events and rules. So this is like a bread butter for UiPath apps, you can say. So every input control, what functionality it will perform. So let's say there is a login button, and what functionality we need to perform, that it should check whether the username and password is correct, it's matching with our database or not. So where you are going to use it, where you are going to check it. So this comes under the events and rules. So you just need on every input and control, you can create that event, what you want to perform. So it's a login example is there. Again, if you want to show some data on a click, so again you can create one event where you are going to say that, open this page which is already in your application and show this data. So, and this is very simple to perform also, because again it's very ready activities it is present, we just need to bind our data. So this is the events and rules. Okay, now where actually UiPath apps is integrated with, like where we can actually leverage the UiPath apps and the other application of the UiPath. So as I said that, of course, apart from UiPath applications, there are Excel, then there are other files which you want to use and read, that is also there. But let's say there is queue, there is data service, there is a storage buckets, then UiPath Studio processes, then there are page controls. There would be a more in the future also. So as we already know that they are going to release the apps and the integration services combination also. So this is available on a click. Like as I said, updating the queue or creating a new record in a data service entity, it is very simple because they have provided the activity for that, they have provided the event and rule for that. So you just need to bind your queue. So whenever you bind it, they will give you the option also from which tenant you want to take a queue. Is there a different tenant? So all, and your queue data, your storage bucket data, and your then another service entity also, data service entity also, that all the data you can also see in your UiPath apps itself. So you don't need to every time move to that particular entity to see and check, okay, what exactly happened, it is really added or not. That quick cross check can be done in the UiPath apps itself. The next is application lifecycle management. So this is something it is helpful from your development to your deployment. So let's say you are maintaining the versions, there is a history of your application version, then testing of your application, all those can be coming onto the ALM. And this last is automation launchpad. So this is something UiPath has released. This is the out of box framework. So this use case, it is the best example of the UiPath apps, you can say. So what they have released is, let's assume you are a COE guy and you want to know what exactly the automation happening in your organization, which process or app is running. It is really helpful what we have developed. So all those combined into a one application. So whatever the pending request, the COE guy who is the admin, he just need to approve it from a single platform. It is not necessary to go again and again to the dashboard and check whether is it really run, is it the job performed, what is the success ratio, all those are in a single frame. So this is something released by the UiPath. It is an out of box framework, just to know that they have integrated all the best practices into this application, and this is a very ideal use case. So this is in a nutshell of the UiPath apps and how we can use it. What is the best features of it? Where exactly um, any business can think of using it. The next would be a data services. So Jenny will walk you through with the data services. So off to you, Jenny.
Sure. Sure. Thanks, Aili. Right. So before just telling about data services, we all know that process automation, what it does for us is automate our simple processes and in day-to-day life. And we all know that some or other kind of data is required for those processes, right? Sometimes we need to store that data, sometimes we need to pull that data, sometimes we need to update those records and everything. So that is where we want to handle the data securely, safely, and if you want to handle it centrally, that is when data services comes into picture, right? So data services is nothing but it allows you to model, manage, and store data. And this is definitely when you can use it is like when you have multiple applications talking to each other in terms of data, like from one system to another, or one process to another, like one robot is working on some kind of data and another robot needs that data. So in that cases, you can definitely use data services. You can access and manage different systems data centrally so that it reduces your efforts, makes the sharing easy and secure, so that you can pass on the data effortlessly and without creating many of the variables. So this is definitely useful in reducing the development efforts, right? And and if you want to create and consume the transactional data, as I said, from one robot to another, from one process to another, like from one system to another system, so this data services will be really helpful. Um, it's nothing but a persistent data storage service that brings out powerful no-code modeling and storage capabilities. On the clicks, on the drag drop facilities, you can utilize data service to create entities, to create fields, to create records, and enter the data and use it in your robotics process automation projects, right? You can define, modify extended business entities and store records for those entities apart from standard out of the box features. So there are some features that are in there. You can import and export those entities in your studio and leverage the benefits into the studio for your processes. uh, you can define rich metadata like relationships. You can create relationships between two entities, and you can define the rules. You have the events, like on a particular event, if you want to call out a particular process or something, and you can do it like on the clicks of button. And you can also store documents in there uh, uh, with related to your process, right? You can access these entities seamlessly between your UiPath products. Like you can use them in your UiPath Studio, which you usually use. You can use them in your Web Studio as well. So, Sally, please can you move ahead? So I'll be also talking about how does it work before moving on to features. So what happens in data service is the data service in your cloud platform. It's like UI for you, and you can create the entities. You can customize those entities and everything, right? And then they call when they are using them, they call the REST API, and there is this data service management which performs these actions, which those are the crude operations that you can do with your database entities, like create, update, and delete. In your, you can do the batch operations, bulk operations. You can do record operations, like a particular record if you want to do. You can also have the files uploaded. So those all operations are already present in your studio, right? And at the end you have the metadata of this entities, and definitions about those, and the data as well. So these all combine the data services and all of that. So as I already told, you can create and customize entities. So Sally would be taking you ahead with the demo. She'll be showing you where and how you can create the entity. How does it look? How do you enter the data? And there are system user entities and predefined fields. So you don't have to take care about all the fields that are there, like when the record was updated, when it was created, by which user it was created. So those things are already predefined in there and already built in your entities that you create. You can export and import the schema, which will be definitely really helpful in reducing some time, effort, and it syncs up, like you create an entity, and depending on the role. So yeah, if talking about the role, there are some data readers, some data writer roles that you can provide. So all the users in your organization, you can manage the roles, and those all can use you can provide just the read only, you can provide the write data as well to the depending on the roles. So if you have like automation developer will have data writer role. So it can export and import schema, write data into that and all of that in your studio, and use it like just to import the data or update the data. So that will be useful when in the studio. There are advanced search in entity data, like you can have conditions where you'll have and or operators as usual to the coding, and you have these conditions applied on. You can apply a kind of filter on your columns on basis of the values, right? There is also facility of API access, which we'll not be covering as part of this demo today, but that is one of the features that is available if you need your data service data to be used in your external by your external applications by an OAuth authorization, right? And like I've already talked, these are activities available in the form of batch and record based operations in the entity. So that all covers a bit of introduction about data services. So when Sally takes you through the data services, you will know more about how do you handle these in the your cloud platform, and how will you leverage the benefits of queues, storage buckets, all of that which you already have, the processes that you might already have, how can you use them, and how do you do bulk operations will be showcased by her. Thanks, Eileen. Sally, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Jenny. That was very helpful. So, any questions till this, guys? Anything?
Yes, I have a question. Um, so what will be the use case? Right? We guys are working into RPA space, right? So we have various features like document understanding for say, right? That we use for invoice processing most probably, right? So what will be use case for UiPath apps with data services, that can benefit our customers, or we can, ask them to use this feature, right?
Okay, so any use case, you can say a best fit would be where you have a lot of data to deal with. So supposingly you are into a customer service space, BPO, okay, and you receive a call, okay, and there is a lot of data already in your data services which you have uploaded, and now on a click you can actually search in a single platform. You can search with the incoming call number, okay, who is calling me? Is it the valid call or not? If yes, you can attend. And the next is also on the same UI, you can go ahead with the different things. So whatever the inquiry is required, the accordingly all the data will reflected in a single page. Let's say how many times that caller had called you, that chart you can show what exactly the existing query was there. That also you can showcase on a single page. So you don't need to interact with the multiple applications in case of a single work. The main advantage of the UiPath apps is multiple processes coming into a single platform, to ease the use. So that is something a best use case.
Okay, okay. Guys, if you have
Yeah.
any questions, you can
Just
ask
sorry,
them.
and just so on that, on top of what Saili spoke, you can also have AI combined with that and give recommendations as per customer records history and all of that. And another example that I could think of is creating any dashboards and creating any forms like feedback review forms you can do for anywhere where in a customer centric place, right?
Right, right.
So
Even for, ROC, we have robotic operation centers, even that, we have a lot of processes running, or like, for that also we can, get the various process details and showcase a dashboard as well internally. That is also something we can create. So, yep, great one, Sally
yeah.
and Jay. Yep. Other folks, any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. Um, and, Yep, Saili, you can till then get
Okay.
started. Yeah, continue, please.
Yes. So, so what exactly we are going to cover into the demo? So I'll give you a little bit of idea, and then we will see in a demo itself. So what we are doing here, so I'm trying to leverage and use as much as functionality. So let's assume the first one is here. You can see there is one button, bulk upload data from Excel to data services. So how you can add 1,000 of batch, you can upload your data which is in the Excel to the data services, okay, through app. So on this click you can upload something which you have received in a Excel and upload it to the data services. This is something we are covering. So this combination here, your iPad app, studio and data services, this you can see for this button click. The next where we are fetching the records from the data services. So whatever you have uploaded, now you can fetch those records from the apps itself. And at the same time, once if you find that record or you don't find that record, just to maintain an audit of it, you can update or create that record into the queue also. So as I said, this on the click of this particular search customer button, you can actually see multiple operations getting performed, like showing a data on a different page, similarly fetching the data from the data services, updating the data into the queue, and at the same time this is also running the process also, which is there in the studio, right? So this functionality we are covering. The lastly, there is another button that add details to data service through app. So now we have seen how we can upload the data and how we can fetch the data. But how about uploading the data from your apps to the data services? That is something we can see here. So I'll just quickly move to the demo and I'll explain how exactly the UiPath Studio looks like, what are the features, how data services look like, and how you can connect it and use it. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is my UiPath apps studio, something looks like. Okay, so this is the apps I have already built. So any app you want to leverage, you can just click on the edit. You can, if it is already published, you can directly run also from here. There is an option to export, clone, share your app, delete it, or copy the URL, to just to individually run it from in the another browser. All those things are here. Now, as I said, the very first feature, import and export app. So what exactly it is? So once you say export this, so when you click on the export, it generates a APK file. Okay. And when you anytime create any new app, there is this option import from file. Okay, so assuming that you have some generic application, it is doing some validation, you want to use it at a very starting of your any other application, you can actually make it as a generic app. And every time you create a new application, you will import that apk file, and then you start your normal application which you want to create. Okay, then there is this public ad. So it's still in a preview stage, but it is there. So if you click this, this app will available outside of your organization also. Okay, so this feature is also there. Now we'll look into the studio. So I'll just edit. So okay, so what is this bulk upload data to data service? So this is the simple app which I have created. Okay, and I have exported it. Okay, and while creating my main application, I import that file. So how it looks like, at the very starting of my application, I can see this. Okay, so this is something importing and exporting of the application. Now let's see how the events and rules are there. Okay, so as I said, on every input control, whether it's label, table, page, button, uh, everywhere you can create events. Okay, so how it is like, if I go to the event tab, so I'm already calling a process. Okay, and now if you look about something, this particular, I have actually called many more event and rules. So this is something very useful. Like what I am doing here, that what page you want to open. Okay, it is there. What is how it is look like? I'm saying it is look like a pop-up. Okay, then when it is opening, do you want to show any message? So that is also there. So I'm just simply saying that fetching details from data services. So till the time it is fetching, user can actually see that yes, it's in the process. Then we are starting with our actual process, which we have hosted on the orchestrator. Then there is also rules you can create, if else rules, right? Apart from that, there is this functionalities which UiPath have covered. If you want to leverage the functions, okay, on your data. So as of now, I have used that if my particular process doesn't return anything, then don't show that message. Okay, and if it's returned, then show particular message, and accordingly update the data into the queue also. So to do so, I'm using this count function, and I'm simply passing my output data table and the customer IDs. So accordingly, there are many more functions are also available. So if you can see, and concat, contains, count, there are a lot. There are date and everything functions are also there. Then there is a lookup, filters. So these things are also there, you can leverage. Depending on the situation, you can update it. Now if we just click on the plus, you will see how many events and rules there are already is. So as I already showcased, if else, then we can open a page, you can open a URL, you can close the this open pop-up and sheet, then can show particular message, you can show or hide the spinner once the status changes. You can set some values to your particular field, particular text boxes. You can start the process. You can upload file to a storage bucket also, get the file at the same time, reset value to bring back your control to the default value. Then there is this create and update entity record. So through this, we can actually update our data services entity, delete entity record is there, and add to queue. So which we are already using this. So this basically the all these things, the queues, data services, processes, storage buckets, these all are covered into a simple events and rules which are there. You just need to bind your data. Okay, so this is this. Now, okay, how you're going to actually bind it. Okay, so there is this drop down, and here you can see. Okay, so let's say I want to use a queue. So it will show you from which tenant you want to use your queue. Okay, so I'm already using the customer details, so it is disabled. But if it was not, then it must be enabled. You can tick it and you can add it into your UiPath apps and you can leverage it. Same time, you can pick a different tenant also. Okay, and this all works in a similar fashion. So let's assume we saw for the queue, you can see for the entity also. So you can see for the default tenant, there are these many entity already present, which are there. You just have to click this and you say add it, and it will get added to your UiPath apps. Okay. And when you do so, there are this partition created where you can actually see what are getting added to your apps. So now I have added this particular process. So I can see it here. I can see what inputs it required. Okay. I can see what output it is giving me. Same time, you can see the storage buckets also if you configured it. Okay. In the queue also, you can see this customer details queue, which we are using. In the entities also, as I was already saying, you don't need to, back and through with the data to see. So if I just click on it, I can see the schema already. I can see data also. Okay. So if I go here, same. So see, the data is also here. And this is the schema. So this is also there itself in the app. So what if anything updated through the app, you can, it's very developer friendly. You can say, you can see it here only if it's getting updated or not. Okay. Now when I talk about uploading the data to data services, so I'll just quickly go to the data services once, and I can show you the entities. Okay, so this is my two entities which I have created. Okay, personal loan data and search customer description. So you can create your new entity. Okay, you can name it, and you just need to keep on adding the fields. Okay, so while adding the fields, it's give you option which type of field it is. Okay, so there are like text, number, boolean, date, time, relationship to maintain a primary relationship, auto number choice set, where enumeric data basically, file, so up to 10 MB file it is also accepting. So this kind of fields you can create. Okay, and there are some predefined field which is already there, as Jenny mentioned. So these are something updated by, created by, update time. So this is something which is already system built in field, just to keep a track of it, who has updated, modified this particular entity. Same time, you can see the data. Okay, there is also this option, how much data you want to see, and you can just go through it. There is advanced search also. Okay, so what all you want to check and or condition, which column. So this is also there, which is a very good actually to, in a very large amount of data you want to search for a few fields. This is going to be a very helpful. Okay, so you don't need to explicitly write a query to find out this, but you can just go and quickly say that this is the column, this is my condition, and this value I'm looking for. So that can also be done here. Okay. Then what else? Yes. Then you can obviously import and export the schema. So that is also there. So this will come into the JSON format. So particular property, which data types and everything, this will be imported. So it is going to be a time saving if you want to, create a similar type of structure for some other process. So that is, you just need to export the earlier structure and import it into the another one. Okay, so this is the data service. So simple web interface basically, where user can leverage the many functionalities without need to have that much deep dive into the how exactly your database works and everything. This is on your fingertips, the filtering, the creation, everything. So this is for the data services. Now going back to the studio. Okay. So how exactly you use your entities, data service entity, into your normal UiPath Studio, and how you are binding it with the UiPath apps. Okay, So this is my UiPath Studio. Okay, so firstly, obviously, you need to have this data service packages with you. Okay, you need to install it to get the data service activities. Okay, the next is you need to create a variable with your personal data, personal loan data entity. So this is my entity from the data services, and how you will get this type. Okay, so to do so, there is another option called manage entities. Okay, so when you click on the manage entities, you will automatically see all the entities which are there and which all you want to import. So you just need to click here and you need to save, and this will get added into your studio. So let's assume you made some changes into your entity, updated some data type or made any changes, add some new field. So you simply need to refresh the button and it will show you the changes. So there is a column for changes. Whatever the changes are there on that particular entity, it will have this plus sign. Okay, that there are some changes in here, and you can save that, so it will replicate in your studio also. Same time, this is something a hyperlink, guys. So you can actually click here and it will navigate you to the data service also. So that is also there. Um, so once you do so, so there is this data manager tab. Okay, so here you can actually see all your entities. Okay, all your processes which you have published, your queues. Okay, so this is again a very useful. So you can use it. You can don't need to go back to the data service. Okay, what column was there? You can see it here also. What data type was it is. So this is very useful for in the development perspective. Okay, so once you do so, what we are actually doing it, how we are bulk uploading it. Okay, so earlier few months back, I believe we need to update it one by one. Okay, in the data services, but now we have the option of batch. Okay, that they have introduced, UiPath have introduced the batch activities. So in the batch of 1,000 you can actually create, delete and update the records. So if you can see, I'm using this. Okay, create multiple records. Okay, and here I'm just selecting my entity, what record. So this is my list of records which I wanted to upload. Okay, and I'm outputting this record, but that's it. Now you can cross check it with the output records also. Now let's assume you want to filter out something. Okay, based on some customer search, as you have the contact number, you from a large database, you want to search it, so you can query it. Okay, so there is this activity, query the records. Okay, so what we are doing here, select your entity, and again when you say on the query, there is again a filter wizard is there. No need to write actual queries. Okay, so you can write your nested queries. You can write a complicated queries also. So you just need to create this customer IDs, what conditions you need to apply, and what you are looking into. So yes, your query is ready and it will give you the output. So this is my output. Okay, so now if you see, I have made this my output as a list of which data type. This is the entity data type. Okay, and I'm making this direction as out. So this is something I'm going to access in my UiPath application, and I'm going to show this data into the data table. Okay, so this is how basically the data table, the studio is connected with the app. So any process you want to connect with your app, so these are basic things which you need to do in your UiPath Studio. uh, and yes, apart from that, there is one major point also. So every time, let's say you created a process, you created your app, now you want to bind your data into your app. Okay, so you publish your process, it comes into the orchestrator, so you get access to the apps also, that it is there. But sometimes it happens that your fields which are there in the table, those are not actually showing it. Okay, so this is so what is the trick for it, that when you publish your process, you first need to run it from the orchestrator. Okay, so there should be always a first run from the orchestrator, and then you will see all the parameters which is there in your application. Okay, similarly, when we talk about queue, okay, so as I said that we are on this click, we are also uploading the queue also. Now, how the queue schema would be then? As we know, we create a queue, but what would be the schema, right? So for that also, you need to upload a JSON file, okay, in the orchestrator while creating a queue. So in my queue, there are only two things: customer ID and a result. Okay, so I have a simple schema which I have uploaded while creating my queue, and it will take these two parameters, and time to time it will update it. So this is something which is already available in the UiPath documentation, how to create a queue, how to create this schema when you are using the queue with the UiPath apps. So this is there. Okay. Now I believe I'll just run the application and let's see how it is there, and then I'll show you how you can see it in a UiPath assistant also. Okay, so I'll just say preview. So our first thing is bulk upload. So as you see, bulk uploading data from Excel to data services, this is done. So at the bottom, our process is getting triggered. Once it is done, it is done. Okay, now we are back to our main page. Now let's assume there is this particular number, contact number. Obviously it's a wrong contact number I'm trying to search. So there would be a no contact. Okay, zero numbers, right? Zero, no things to show. Okay, now let's assume you got a customer ID. You can search it and just search the customer. Now this is something a valid customer ID. So our process is getting triggered. You can see this data. There is a message box: data successfully added to queue. You can see your data here. Okay. At the same time, you can see your data here also. Okay. Now, if I say add details to data services through app. So whatever the customer ID just searched, I want to update, I want to add this particular customer ID to one of my new entities which I have created. So from the app, how you can do it? So you just, if you click on this, so updating customer details to entity record. Okay, so we have increased the limit, but that's fine. So I'll just quickly show you the data. Okay. So if I go to the personal loan data, here is my data. Okay. So now you can see the data count has been increased. Okay. It's 594. So my data is getting updated. Okay. At the same time, if you see, these are my updated email IDs. These are my updated data. Okay. Which was there, which I have just searched. So this is something we searched 102 and it is there. Okay, so data you can also see from here. At the same time, if we go back to the orchestrator and if we see the queue, okay, wait. Okay, so let's just go to the orchestrator. So here, if I can go to queues, it's my customer details. I'll see view transactions. The one transaction is added, view details. So data found in data service 101. Okay, so this is something got updated. And as what I was saying, So while creating a queue, so when I say, just show you, so there is this option, okay, specific data JSON. So here you need to upload this file while creating a queue. Okay. So basically, we are able to do multiple things now through the app. Now, very important, how we are going to publish and what is the versions and everything, right? So if you see, there is this option called publish. Okay. So now from here, you can publish your application. So once you publish it on your UiPath Assistant, there would be a one different tab, apps. Okay, there all the application would be listed. So here is my search customer application, which I have published. Okay, and I can run it from here also. Now, here there is another few options which is already there. Then there is just a second. Yeah, there is, you can send it to the desktop. Okay, so what, when you say send it to the desktop, what it does is it create a shortcut for this app on your desktop. Okay, so I have done so. So see, if there is a shortcut for this search customer, if I click this, it will open my application. Okay, so this is again another way to run your application. Okay, then next would be run show app details, will give you the history. Okay, and now here there is something version history. Okay, how many times I have published it, comments you can add. Okay, the very major thing is what if the latest changes are not as per the required and the earlier version was the correct. Okay, so you can always restore that. So there is this restore to this version, so we'll get back to your app to that particular version, no need to go and again do some changes. So that is also there. Okay, so that is altogether UiPath apps combining with the data services queue processes. So any questions, guys, in this demo? Okay, so I take this as no. And then I think next topic would be then integration services, which will be by Jenny. Okay.
Thank you, Saili. I'll start sharing my screen. Let me know if
Sure.
it's visible. Is it visible?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, Jenny.
So till the demo, thank you, Saili, for showcasing UiPath apps and data service features to us, and also how would we use that altogether. So next up is the integration service. So what do we understand by integration service is basically integration of APIs, and why would we use that? Right. So when you don't want your robots to keep monitoring for a particular event, right? So like for example, if I say there's an email that you want to look for, so you would use that activity in your process. You would keep a background process maybe to keep looking for an email and trigger something on those emails. So that is very much simplified with the integration service, where you have triggers and connectors and connections by the help of which you will be able to create those actions on those particular events, right? So and also when you see a lot of enterprise applications where I mean about the CRM, ERP applications and all of that, like for example, if we say there's a lot of work that you do in emails in the Salesforce ServiceNow applications. So in that case, you can use integration services very easily, and they need to talk to each other just in automated way by connecting your applications in the integration service, right? So and you can have a mix of API based automations along with the UI based automations that you're currently doing. So if you have a mixture of legacy applications, desktop applications in your projects, and also you have some enterprise applications in there, so you can do a mix of UI on your desktop applications and a mix of API. So you can have a combination of both of them providing you the faster and easier development of automations, and also it's like seamless across your all your development environments like Studio and Web Studio. Right. And when you want to see and manage all your applications that are used in your automation centrally and securely, this is where you should use integration service. Right. Before this integration service, what we used to do is use a HTTP request in your processes. Right. So in that case, each of the process or each of the robots were using your particular APIs to have HTTP request, right? So in that is now made simplified and centrally located in integration service. Right. So basically, UiPath integration service is a component of UiPath platform, obviously, and that makes our automation of the third-party applications, as I said, ServiceNow, Salesforce. There, just to name a few, I'll show you what all applications are available. In a much easier standardized standardized authentication and authorization in place. They help you to manage the API connections and also allow you to have faster integrations into the software as a service platforms, right? And then you can maximize automation benefits that can be achieved by UiPath robots. Seamlessly work with UI interfaces, as I already told. You can combine all already existing RPA processes and leverage the benefits of integration services via if you're using the APIs, right? And then UiPath integration service delivers the tools and flexibility to solve any automation challenge faster and at scale. As I said, the making the connections, the kind of connectors, the library of the connectors that are available, that makes it quite easy and faster to connect to your applications. Right. The beneficial part of it is it enables you to kick off the automations based on the server side events. For example, as I said, you can have a trigger based on your email receipt. There are multiple events for each of the connectors. I'll show you ahead, and then it definitely simplifies your automation design as it's available in your studio as well, in your web studio as well. So just one connection available at different places. You can create your automation design simpler by using those connections, right? By far you would have understood these are the core components of integration service, where you have three parts: the connectors, the connections, and the triggers. Connector is nothing but a pre-built API integrations. Like the APIs are bundled together, and they provide a consistent developer experience, right? And you don't need to know what is behind those APIs. Just using the connections, just creating the connections by using this connectors, you'll be able to handle so many of the methods that you used to do it with the HTTP request, right? Connections are nothing but connections established with this connector using by authenticating the users. Like for example, if I take Outlook for example. So when you create a connection using a Outlook Microsoft 365 Outlook connection, right? So what it'll do is it'll ask you just for signing into your account, and the connection is established, and you'll see all of your connection is a centralized place. I'll quickly give you a platform walkthrough, and we'll see all of that together. Triggers are again a uniform mechanism for subscribing to the events. Like, for example, I already said about the Outlook 365, the events are email received or email sent. There are multiple applications that we use in day-to-day basis, I'll be also showing you Jira, where we'll be creating issue. There will be different, like ServiceNow, you can create tickets, and what will happen on the basis of the creation of the ticket can be triggered from here. Right. So those are the core components. And how does it work? What happens is your studio has the activity packs available for the connectors, and integration service contains all of the catalogs, connections, and triggers. Again, robot uses those activity packs. These integration service contain, as you can see here, lot of applications like Atlassian, SAP, NetSuite, ServiceNow, Salesforce, Workday, and all of that, right? So what happens if I take an example of, as I previously said, when we used to call a API before integration service, what we'll do is we'll take a HTTP request, we'll give the endpoint, we'll provide the client ID secret and all of that, and those process or those robots will then use the will trigger the API, will use the API and give the response, and then the response will be in JSON or XML format, and then you'll have to decode that and all of that, right? So in how it is simplified here is you get Studio or robot knows that this connector has come, this connection is established. It goes back to integration service, and integration service does all of the work of calling the APIs and all of that, right? So it gives you back the results that were there in a simplified format, and that's it. It does all the work for you, and we don't need to know details about the APIs and everything. So I'll quickly take you through the demo where I'll be showing you platform walkthrough, Outlook 365 connection example. How will we be using integrations in our studio, and how will we trigger on email receipt, and we'll be running a use case. So let me just go back to this. So I hope everybody can see the orchestrator. So first and foremost, how would you enable the integration service? So if you have the admin access, you can see your admin page in there, and in your tenant, there will be services option, right? From here, you would be able to see the services that are available for your tenant. So currently, I've already enabled integration service and data service for myself. And similarly, if you don't see integration service and all of that in here, you can enable it from this panel by adding. So I've already added, so we'll not go back and add, we cannot go back and add again, right? And now you see the integration service like in your left-hand side panel like this, right? So it also leverages your already existing folders. Like if you have shared folder and inside multiple folders in there, you have my workspace for sure. And these are folders that are available in your orchestrator, right? So it leverages the already existing folders that are there. And as I already told, the connectors, connections, and triggers. So if you see the connectors part, there are these many connectors that are available, and most of this will be familiar to you as we use them in our day-to-day work, right? So if you see, Microsoft Outlook 365 is there, Jira is there, Microsoft Teams is there, and SAP, ServiceNow, and all of that, Slack is all of that is there, right? Some of them are in the preview, and most of them are in official, right? And with these connectors, we'll be creating the connections, right? So here I have just one connection, and there are two ways you can create the connection. If I go on to connector, if I search for suppose Jira, it'll give you an option. When you click on this, you have an option of add connection, right? Also, when you click on the connector, you also have this documentation which specifies everything about that connector and how would you be able to create the connection and everything. So that's a quick guide, and also provides you activities, documentation about the activities that you can use, right? And the second way of connecting the connections is from the connections tab, add connection. It'll give us a pop-up to select. So if I select here Jira, right, it'll take us to an authentication page. So there are different authentication depending upon the different connectors that you're connecting. Like for Jira, it'll ask you for the URL. So when you have a Jira in place, you'll have a URL associated with this. For example, it was here with me, and it defines the scope already. And when you click on connect, it'll just ask you for the username and password, and you'll have to accept the conditions, conditions, like what all access you would want to provide. Let me know if it's visible. So accept, if you see accept here, you should be able to accept, and the connection is established, right? So if I just click on accept, so it says your integration, your connection was successfully created, right? You can also rename your connections from here. And like I've already renamed this as shared. Again, I'll rename because I'm creating that in shared folder. And the benefit of creating that in shared folder is all the users that have access to the shared folder, or you can control the access from your orchestrator already existing folders where you do from the manage access, right? So in that way, all of the users that are there in your folders will have access to this. So while development, you can use your my workspace, or if you want your organization, other users to use them, create them on shared folders, and share the connection with your other colleagues, right? And there is also functionality of default. So if I have Outlook 365, multiple Outlook 365 connections, you would like to put one as default, which will be definitely when you use the connector connection, it'll by default select the default one, right? So that's about connectors and connections. And next up we have is the triggers, right? So before establishing a trigger, we need to have studio process in place, because we want on a, if we want on a particular event, when the trigger is polling, when you want on a particular event a process to run, you need to have a studio project. So I'll be taking you through studio project, and before that I'll just show you what you will need beforehand before creating your studio project. So in the UiPath documentation for integration services, you'll find these 4 arguments that needs to be there: UiPath event connector, UiPath event, UiPath event object type, and UiPath event object ID. So UiPath event connector is nothing but that the connector that I showed you. UiPath event we'll define that in your trigger. And UiPath event object, like for example, for Outlook 365, it can be message. And for then lastly, the UiPath event object ID, this will be basically used most, and I'll show you how we will use it. Right. So moving on to Studio. So I'll just show you first the activity packs that I was talking about. So when you have a Studio project, you'll have these arguments in your main, right? And then some activities that you'll need for sure are the integration service activities. Like for Jira here, I've shown you this version requires the automation cloud integration service. By this, you will be able to find out this activity is related to integration service, and this is dependent on your integration service connection and all of that. So when you have the connections, when you want to use those applications in your processes, this is a must have. And like for example, for Outlook 365, we have Microsoft 365. So currently there is preview version available, but currently I'm using is the previous version, right? And there's one more way which you can use the Outlook 365. There are basically 2 ways that you can use Outlook 365. One is you would see use Outlook 365 scope in your activities, and you will have to tick use integration service, right? And this will basically allow you to select your connections that are there. So here I've selected already default one that was present. And one more way that I'll show you is, just a second. So if you search for the office activities, there will be these activities that are present for integration services, and classic activities under this bundled under the same package. Sorry. So for Outlook, if we see, there are these activities that are present. And if we want to say, for example, get email list, right? So here you'll see all the connections that are available. Sorry, excuse me. So the connections that are available in my workspace are the shared. As we've seen, I have 3 connections, and all the 3 are available, right? And Next up, we have, so in Outlook 365 scope, we'll be using get email by ID, where we'll be using that argument that we have already seen, event object ID, which will know which email to read, which email has triggered this process, and all of that details. And it'll read that email. We'll be saving that attachment. So these all activities are present for Outlook 365 scope, and we'll be saving those attachments. And in this example, we'll also be what we'll be doing is creating an issue in Jira, right? So using the details in the mail, like the email subject and the message body, we'll be creating an issue in the Jira, and the attachment that we saved will be attached into that issue. So while creating the issue, we got some out arguments, and those will help us to find out which issue was created and attach the attachment that was there in the email. So I'll just be quickly showcase. I'll just be running this quickly. Before that, I'll just show you that this is my Jira board, and let me just go back to trigger. I'll just give me a second. I'll send an email, and we'll see. I'll also open my email. So currently my mailbox is empty. I'm going to send an email. Just let me check if my trigger is enabled. So I'll be using trigger from my workspace, where I have already 3 connections, as I told you, 2 of Outlook 365 just to see the default and no default options, and third one for the Jira. So my trigger is currently inactive. I'll take you to the triggers. Just let me just show you how it's working, and then we'll go into details. So I've sent an email. We'll see an email appearing in my inbox. Just give me a couple of seconds. You see the email has appeared.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is an email that appeared, and now we go on to triggers. So basically, you can create trigger either from the trigger field, like add trigger, or directly from the manage connections. Like if you go into connection, I want to create a trigger on Outlook 365 and go to manage triggers. Can create from here. The advantage of using from here, it will take your connector and connection details, all of it, and populate them, right? And also, if you see something here, the event is triggering for the events every 2 minutes. That is customizable. So by default, it's 5 minutes, but you can customize it to 2 minutes or something. So I've currently done that, so that we don't have to wait much for the event to be triggered. And then it can be 24 hours, 12 hours, or all of that you can see in your screen, depends on your requirement. Like right, when we add trigger, so you'll have these connector connection details, the event that you want to showcase. So there is a list of events already available with each of the connector, right? So this is a predefined list, and suppose if we do it, calendar event is created. We'll see the filter as well, depending on the event that we have selected. So if you have noticed, there was a quick pop-up in there. I'll also show you how the trigger was there and what happened when the trigger was, the event happened and all of that. So, right, so you can select the data filters from here, depending on your needs, depending on your event you want to add the trigger onto. You can select the processes from here. Like suppose if I select demo, integration service demo, right? So you'll have the license type, select the unattended. You'll see the arguments that I showed you in here. So these are the default arguments that are there. I've already added the trigger, so we'll not go into adding it again. And the trigger would have already run. So this was my added trigger. I activated it before sending the email just to showcase. So this event was on email received, and the data filter is a quick data filter that was applied. Simple one was subject contains issue. As in the mail I've showed you, I've sent an email with issue with user screen. So it reads that there was an issue and all of that. And if you see down the attempts history, you will be seeing, let me know if it's visible to you, the event time and all of that, right? So it shows the successful. Now from here, you would be able to see the jobs that were running based on that event. So we'll go on to the jobs in the folder where the process was running. It'll take us to that, and I'll show you the logs of this run. Right, so it says that integration service execution started. I've cleared the attachment folder. Then also I would, I forgot to add that the Microsoft uses Graph APIs for this connection and call and the events and all of that. Right, so and we see the arguments that are there. So for this, the connector was Outlook 365. The event was email received, and the object ID is something like to identify what mail was read or what mail it needs to read and all of that. For this event, the object type was message, right? So those were the arguments that we have passed on to the event. The attachments were downloaded at location. The issue was created in Jira, and the attachment was added successfully. So if we go now and see Jira, I'll show you my Jira board. So this issue was created. I'll go into details. So if you see, the attachment is there. Let it just open. So it was created around 3 minutes ago, right? So which was by the integration service, and the subject is the summary of the issue, and the body is the description of the issue. So we can leverage these connections to go ahead and then reply on the email, to send an email, to send a Teams message as well, post the issues created. So we can expand this in any number of ways. So that was a quick demo on the integration service and how we use the email and Jira for this particular example, and how we create the screenshot and all of that. How we attach the screenshot and all of that. Right. So any questions so far?
I just need to add on something on this, Jenny.
Yeah.
So usually, one of the use cases is very interesting where we can use this. When we run into, production issues, right? There are production issues in the prod going on, and sometimes we receive emails. Some of the emails have a SLA, or the processes have SLA like 2 hours, 4 hours, right? So, and we need to have a ticketing tool for that. And sometimes users can't be live 24/7, right? We work in shifts, we have some other works to do. And that time, this integration services, what you did can create, a particular, a Jira ticket for that and assign to some random user. And you can also get an email, hey, this ticket is assigned to you on high priority level 5, 3, 4. And this is something, automatically can be done.
Yeah.
Now time how it's done is someone identifies the error, then they go to the Jira and then they create a ticket. Okay, this is the issue. So the overall turnaround time, can avoided with this kind of use case. So great use case.
Yeah, also when no, and not everybody has access to Jira, so they can just email, and the Jira can be accessible to the users who act on those issues and
Right.
solve those issues. So yeah, that will be there. And also I would just like to add, so these connectors are already there, but you can also you can build your own connector. I'll just quickly show that as well. We're not going into details, but I'll just show you from where you can do it. So if I go into my integration service, where we see the connectors. So the first option is add a new connector, right? So in that there are different options that you have. You can either create entirely new, or if you already have information about your API, you have the schema and all of that. That time you can use a create new connector, either start from API definition or a blank connector from the schema or from the URL and all of that. You need to know the authentication that is happening on that API, and you can leverage the benefit of creating those connectors, right? So yeah, that covers most of the bit of the demo. So if anyone has any question.
Anyone has any questions or want me to unmute, I can unmute as well. So please feel free to raise your hand, maybe in the reactions. All right. We can unmute you. Anyone has any question?
Right. So if no one has any questions, or meanwhile they think about the questions, I can quickly take you to the background conclusion of what we showed today, right? So with UiPath apps, we can create intuitive user interfaces, like Sally showed us, for a customer. Like for example, in a use case of customer service, you can have, based on your customer calls, or phone number and all of that, you can search the customer, and it'll give you everything in just one page. It can depend on the different processes that are there, and find out details from different process. The different process systems can talk to each other, and you can find the details in one page in a user interface manner, where you'll harness the efficiency and innovation of RPA. You can broaden our RPA usage with the UiPath apps, and combining with that, with the data services, you can use the data services where you don't have any data stored, or you have data stored in multiple systems. There are complex systems in there. You can use the CRM, ERP, legacy systems, mainframe systems, all of them together, bundled together with UiPath apps and data services. With the integration service, we can see it used at many places. Like for example, in the HR department, you have vacancy management and onboarding things, which have different stages, which use different applications in there. Like for onboarding, you want to do a pre-onboarding into a different system. You have some mails going in. You want to set a ServiceNow ticket for the computer allocation and all of that, and you want to notify the user about their trainings, that mandatory trainings that they need to use. You can use integration services with already existing bundled APIs provided in integration service, and leverage the benefit of those, right? So that's what we trying to show, how they can be beneficial. So I'll just ask Akash if he wants to add anything.
No, Jenny, the session is very good. And hi all, this is Akash. I'm a project manager in automation, Mastech. And this session is all like very really insightful to know about the how we can utilize the data and apps, and also the data migration and services, also the complex system. So as a Jenny and Siali like doing with the great session to better user knowledge and what are the integration services would be really like interesting. And as I can see, save a lots of time over, like we are covering the you like as a use case, and so many enterprises application that are used by every day. So thanks Yali and Jenny. And like for any other questions, please open the questions form. Feel free to ask anyone if you have any questions. Over to you, Gajanan.
Yep, awesome.
Yep.
So great, awesome. So if anyone don't have any questions, we will have like 1 minute, to give you guys chance to ask any questions. Right. Meanwhile, I'll just ask questions to Shali and Jenny. One question, last question from mine. So what you guys think might be a great use case? See, as a RPA developer, everyone over here is either starting with RPA, intermediate level, or some of the folks are having some expertise into that. RPA is evolving, right? And as of now, UiPath apps and integration services are still booming, right? A document understanding has taken place, but these are still booming. So do you think like together this, if we combine integration services and UiPath apps, can they play a better role in the future, and can be a greater use case as well?
Yeah, yes, definitely. I think that is the plan for future, that UiPath apps and integration services combine, and you can leverage one connection at many places. So you don't have to struggle for like using an application into the apps. You should be able to connect via integration service and leverage the benefit, right? So in that case, in the UiPath apps, as we have seen, we can do the processes and all of that with the when the integration services are there, with just a clicks we can in the apps itself, with just a click we can create the issue, and what happens on the triggering on that creation of issue can be done by UiPath process and all of that. So we don't have, when integration service is there, we don't have to call the UiPath process from the apps, but it can be again with quick details on the same screen. You don't have to jump on different applications for like creation of issue or creation of some record in some application, or notifying someone about it. So on just on clicks, it'll send emails, it can send Teams message or something, messages on Slack or something. And as I already told, it can action on the events that are already available, the activities that are already available on just clicks, right?
Yep. So just to conclude the session, if anyone don't have anything to add on, so we covered two things today. One is UiPath apps, and second one is integration services. So just if 1 minute, we summarize, UiPath is apps is something you can use for various purposes. It also has mobile feasibility as well. You can go to your phone and run the bots from your phone as well in clicks. Bot 1, bot 3, bot 4, such kind of buttons you can use, and just hit the site and click, and the bot will run for you. Where it comes to integrations, you have, as the name suggests, integration services. It does has integration with various connections. Every connections are already pre-built, so there are more than 100 plus connections that UiPath has already pre-built. And just like you want to integrate with Slack, Teams, you just need to select the account and you're good to go. You don't need to do any coding. It's low code applications, right? As UiPath is low code, so it's pretty good to go. And together this, you can in the future can experience a greater use case that in the coming update they are going to launch. So we will let you know posted on that as well. And thank you everyone for joining the session, and thank you to Saili, Jenny, and Akash. It was great learning for everyone and for me as well. So looking forward to more sessions. All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Gajanan. Thank you all
Thank
for
you
Thank you,
all.
joining.
Gajanan. Thank you all.
Thank you everyone for joining. Yeah, have a great day ahead. Bye.
Bye.